Good afternoon, everybody. You're listening to Lake Stevens Vikings Varsity Baseball. My name is Payne Patchett, and this is game number 18 of the 2018 varsity baseball season here on Monday, April 30th, 2018. The final conference road game for the Lake Stevens Vikings as they travel down to Mill Creek to play the Jackson Timberwolves, who have won their last 4 games. Lake Stevens trying to recover from a heartbreaker at Glacier Peak High School back on Friday by the score of 14-10. Again, the Jackson Timberwolves, at the start of the year, people thought this team was going to run away with the regular season championship. It didn't look like the case, though. They're currently in second place with a 9-3 conference record, and again, they have won their last 4 games. The pitching matchup for this game, the Lake Stevens Vikings will be starting in his 8th start, will be Justin Troya taking on sophomore Case Matter for the Jackson Timberwolves, starting in his 2nd career game against Lake Stevens. When we come back, it'll be the top of the 1st inning. We will announce the lineups and we'll get this game started here from Henry M. Jackson High School between Lake Stevens Vikings and the Jackson Timberwolves. And we are now into the top of the 1st inning here between the Lake Stevens Vikings and the Jackson Timberwolves. Leading off once again for the Lake Stevens Vikings will be number 11, Ben Pizer, the starting left fielder, against the starting pitcher, Case Matter. Ben Pizer, 20 hits and 53 at-bats with a .377 batting average entering this game. And the first pitch from Case Matter inside, strike one looking. He's been hit twice. He has scored a team-high 18 runs. He's hit 3 doubles, has hit 2 triples, and has been walked 9 times to go with 4 RBIs. The 0-1, upstairs, ball 1. It's also 6 for 6 on stolen bases. The lineup for the Lake Stevens Vikings: left fielder Ben Pizer, the starting third baseman Theron Perkins, and the catcher Trey Long. And the 2-1, swing and a miss, strike 2. The 1-1. The make Case ahead of the count, 1 ball and 2 strikes. Middle of the order, Will Wentz, Christian LaPierre, and Tanner Lynn. And the 1-2, outside. Outside and upstairs, ball 2 to the starting catcher, Ben Steck. And the 7-8-9 spot, Hunter Zelasco, Brendan Miller, and the DH, Bryce Mefford. The 2-2, upstairs and outside, ball 3. And the reserves for Lake Stevens: Alec Ibachuan, Jacob Gordon, Bailey Corley, Jacob Wardla, Xander Fogel, Tommy Lindgren, Ethan Jansen, and Tate Bruss. And the payoff pitch, fly ball. This one going into short center field. Carter Booth is there. And will he make the catch? He will, as that was up in the air for a long while. Now will be the first down in the top of the 1st inning. Brings up the number 2 hitter, Theron Perkins, the starting third baseman. He has a team-high .405 batting average, 15 hits and 37 at-bats. He has been hit once, he has scored 6 runs, he has been walked 4 times, and has hit a team-high 4 triples. The first pitch in the windup from the sophomore. Fly ball, this one looks like going into fair territory. It is Addison Beckman, the first baseman. He was running towards it, but it'll get out of his reach. And the count will start at 0-1. Theron, he's hit 1 of 2 home runs for the team this year. The other player is Connor Bardou, who is out with an injury. He has 12 RBIs and is 5 for 5 on stolen bases. 5 of 52 stolen bases total for the team this year. The 0-1, inside, ball 1. The defensive lineup for the Jackson Timberwolves: on the mound is the sophomore Case Matter, and behind the plate is Ben Steck. And the 1-1. Line drive ball, foul into the woods. That is behind the Lake Stevens dugout along the first base line, 1 and 2. And the infield at third base is Ryan Contreras. At shortstop is Kyle Saris. Second baseman is Dylan Anders to go with the first baseman, Addison Beckman. And Case ahead of the count, 1 and 2. Inside, ball 2. And the outfield at left field is Chris Grayson. At center field is Carter Booth, and at right field is Bradley Lundquist. And the pitch, swing and a miss, strike 3 in the dirt. The catcher, Ben Steck, throwing to Beckman at first. And it'll bring up the second out in the top of the 1st inning. The first strikeout for Case Matter. It'll bring up the number 3 hitter, Trey Long, 15 hits and 40 at-bats this season with a .375 batting average and 9 RBIs. He's been hit 3 times. He has scored 14 runs. He has hit a team-high 5 doubles with 1 triple and has been walked 11 times. Case Matter, the first pitch. Hard hit ball, this one going in the right center. Lundquist and Booth both running for it, and it'll be caught by the right fielder, Bradley Lundquist, for a quick 1-2-3 inning for Case Matter. No runs, no hits, no errors, and nobody left on. Justin Troya taking the mound for the first time this afternoon, facing off against the center fielder Carter Booth, the first baseman Addison Beckman, and the catcher Ben Steck as Jackson tries to get things going as they come up to the plate for the first time this afternoon. Lake Stevens nothing. Jackson coming up, bottom of the first inning. And we are now back into the bottom of the first inning. Case Matter throwing a pretty good top of the first inning to retire the first three batters. Now it'll be Justin Troya's turn to try and do the same. He's making his 8th start this year, facing off against the star center fielder number 30, Carter Booth. And the windup in the first pitch. One hopper to the starting catcher, Trey Long, ball 1. Justin Troya is making his 8th start this year, 2 wins and 2 losses with an ERA of 3.92. He has thrown 25 innings. He's allowed 21 hits, 14 earned runs, walked 22 batters, and struck out 15 in the 1-0. Ground ball, this one getting past the glove of Theron Perkins and past the glove of a diving Hunter Zalesko at shortstop. It gets off the glove of Zalesko. The throw to second is not in time as Carter Booth will get to second base.
Now batting first baseman number 6, Addison Beckman.
It gets just past the glove of the third baseman, Theron Perkins. And from what it looks like, it bounces off the glove of a diving Hunter Zalesko. Carter Booth discovers that it rolls towards the third base line in left field. Ben Pizer, not enough time to try and get there, and Booth will get to second base, and Jackson has a runner in scoring position on the very first batter. The first pitch outside, ball 1 to the starting first baseman, Addison Beckman, who tries bunting for that one. And the lineup for the Timberwolves are entering this game 12 wins and 5 losses. The 1-0 fly ball that is over the Jackson dugout along the third base line for a foul. 1 ball and 1 strike. The lineup, the center fielder Carter Booth, the first baseman Addison Beckman, and the starting catcher Ben Steck. The middle of the order is the designated hitter Diego Altamirano, the right fielder Bradley Lundquist, and the left fielder Chris Grayson. In Case Matter, the pitcher will be batting 7th. The 1-1, low for a ball 3, and outside 2-1. And the 8th spot is the shortstop Kyle Saris, and the 9th spot is the starting second baseman Dylan Anders. Troya looking over at Carter at second base in the 2-1. Low for a ball 3. And Trey Long, a really good job of containing the baseball. Carter thought he should have went to third on that one. So the defensive line for Lake Stevens Vikings on the mound is Justin Troya. Behind the plate is Trey Long. In the infield in third base is Theron Perkins. Shortstop is Hunter Zalesko. The second baseman Brendan Miller. And the first baseman, Will Wentz. 3 balls and 1 strike. Justin stepping off the mound, looking towards second, and does not throw. And now he does throw. That will not get Carter in time. In the outfield and left field, it is Ben Pizer. Center field is Christian LaPierre. And the right fielder is Tanner Lind with Bryce Mefford DHing for the pitcher, Justin Troya. And the 3-1, outside ball 4. Jackson gets their first 2 base runners on the first 2 batters.
In the third position is your catcher, number 33.
And he'll bring up Ben Steck. One of the top storylines coming into the 2017 baseball season was that the Jackson Timberwolves, they had a couple players going to Oregon State that they have both committed going to Oregon State. For people who don't know, they are one of the top college baseball programs in the nation. They are ranked, as of right now, they're ranked number 3 in the nation behind, was it Florida and Stanford, I remember correctly. And it was Ben Steck and it was Carter Booth, who is currently at second. They both committed to play for Oregon State. Carter Booth actually signed a letter of intent back in November. First pitch outside, ball 1. While Ben Steck, it was actually 2 years ago where he committed to play for Oregon State. As far as I know, he's not signed anything. The 1-0 pitch, this one, going into short right field. Will Wentz dropping his cap. That's going to fall. Carter Booth running around third base. He's going to stop there. It'll be a bloop single landing right near the first base line in right field. And with nobody out, Jackson, as the bases loaded, it'll bring up the cleanup hitter, the designated hitter, Diego Altamirano. He is one of 2 players who had committed to play for Vanguard University to play for baseball. Another one is one of the reserves for Jackson Weber. And Diego Altamirano will be the designated hitter for the third baseman, Ryan Contreras. First pitch, a line shot. This one going in the left center. That is going to fall. Carter is going to score. Addison riding around third. Ben Steck is getting to third base, and the throw offline. And it'll be a 2-run double for Diego Altamirano on the first pitch, and Jackson has a 2-0 lead. And Josh White, the manager for Lake Stevens, already going to the mound. Talk to the starting pitcher, Justin Troy, along with the catcher, Trey Long, before the right fielder, Bradley Lundquist, will come up to the plate, his first varsity appearance against the Lake Stevens Vikings. The Timberwolves had a pretty decent year last year, but it was one of the best seasons for a team that didn't go to the state tournament. They had 14 wins and 9 losses overall, 9-5 in conference play. They finished with the number 3 seed in Wesco. They started off in the first round. They had the number 3 seed playing here at Jackson High School against Cascade. And it was the bases loaded in the bottom of the 7th inning. Brock Gillis was on the mound, and he committed a balk. Addison Beckman was on third. Beckman scored, and Jackson moved on while Cascade's season ended. First pitch to Justin, outside, ball 1. And so they ended up moving on to the double elimination portion of the tournament as they played at Glacier Peak and lost that game by a score of 14-8. And the 1-0, a one-hopper to Trey Long in the dirt, ball 2. And the star of that game overall was Cameron Keller, who at the time was Glacier Peak's catcher. He had 8 RBIs in that game, and those proved to be crucial. The 2-0 line shot going into center field. Ben Steck will score from third. Altamirano staying at third base, slipping as he gets past the bag. And it'll be an RBI single for Bradley Lundquist, and the score is now 3-0 Jackson.
Number 39, Chris Grayson.
And still with nobody out in the bottom of the first inning, Jackson with 4 hits and 3 runs. It'll bring up Chris Grayson, the starting left fielder. And Justin, the windup in the first pitch, swing and a miss. Trey to throw to second is over the head of the second baseman, Brendan Miller, but a nice job by the shortstop, Zelasco, to make sure that one didn't go into the outfield. It'll be a stolen base for Bradley Lundquist. As the count will start at 0-1. So after losing to Glacier Peak, they played in a consolation game played at Meridian Park Fields in Shoreline against Mount Vernon, who Lake Stevens beat in the other semifinal game. And the 0-1 pitch inside, ball 1. And Jackson ended up beating Mount Vernon by the score of 9-5. And that was before Lake Stevens won the Wesco title. This one is a shot to the second baseman, Brandon Miller, who drops it. Throws to first is in time. A run's going to score. It'll be the first out of the inning, but also another run will go on the board for Jackson. An RBI ground out. And Jackson now leads by the score of 4-0. Bradley Lundquist moving to third. And it'll bring up Case Matter, Justin Troya's counterpart in the starting pitcher. And Justin first pitch upstairs for a ball 1. So after beating Mount Vernon, Jackson had to play the loser of the Wesco championship game, which was either Lake Stevens or Glacier Peak. The Vikings won 7-3, so they played Glacier Peak. And they ended up losing on a walk-off double in the 7th. This one, a 1-0 pitch fly ball. This one in foul territory. Will Wentz under it. Will Wentz moving and will drop the ball as there'll be a foul. A very similar situation happened back on Friday where the ball was in foul territory right next to the Lake Stevens dugout, which was once again along the first base side. Will Wentz, he was near it, but was not able to get the ball. It'll be a foul, and the count is at 1-1 strike, and that was against Jackson Swim, who later hit a 2-run home run. And the 1-1 by Justin, outside and upstairs, ball 2. And in that second place game, Glacier Peak, they hit a 2-run double. It was Riley Parker, if I remember correctly. It was the left field. It was off the wall, and the left fielder, Chris Grayson, who was the backup, couldn't find it. This time, barely getting into fair territory as Will Wentz will be under this one and will this time make the catch for the second out. Bradley Lundquist stays at third base, and he'll bring up the starting shortstop, Kyle Saris, number 5. And Jackson, after losing, they look like a team that might get one of the 2 state tournament spots from the West Coast Conference. First pitch, a strike 1 looking. And Justin, the 0-1, wind up throw. Strike 2 looking. A couple nice, pretty good pitches by the senior left-hander, Jackson, in addition to having a 12-5 overall record, 9-3 in conference play. They've also won their last 4 games. 0-2 pitch. This will go in the right field. Tanner Lind is under it. Running a little forward. This will go into short right field. And it will be 3 quick outs after allowing 4 runs. It is 4 runs on 4 hits, no errors, and 1 runner left on. As Jackson takes an early 4-0 lead, Case Matter back on the mound in the top of the second inning, facing off against the middle of the order in Will Wentz, Christian LaPierre, and Tanner Lind. You're listening to Lake Stevens Vikings Varsity Baseball. And we are now back in the top of the second inning. Lake Stevens starting off in the middle of the order against Case Matter. We threw 5 balls for 7 strikes and 12 pitches in the first inning, all zeros for no runs, no hits, no errors, and nobody left on in the inning, and therefore the game. First pitch to Will, strike 1 looking right down the middle. Will, 14 hits and 54 at-bats, a .259 batting average. He's been hit 3 times, he has scored 6 runs, he has hit 4 doubles, and he's been walked 5 times. The 0-1, a short chopper, this one fielded by the third baseman Ryan Contreras, who throws to first, and it'll be a 1-hopper, and a nice pick by the first baseman Addison Beckman to get Will at first. As the third baseman, Ryan Contreras, he slips while going in the foul territory, picking up the baseball. And it'll bring up the next batter, Christian LaPierre. First pitch, a swing and a miss, strike 1. Next pitch, a swing and a miss, strike 2. LaPierre, 13 hits and 44 at-bats, and a .295 batting average with 11 RBIs and a 6 for 7 in stolen bases. Timeout by Christian. He's been hit a team high 6 times this year. He has hit 4 doubles, 1 triple. He's been walked 8 times and has scored 7 runs. The 0-2 check swing outside for a ball 1. And Case Matter, he was the starting pitcher against Lake Stevens last year. The 1-2 foul ball. This one going over the Jackson bleachers along the third base side. And his start last year back on May 1st, he threw 3 2/3 innings, allowing 4 hits, 2 earned runs, 2 walks, and 4 strikeouts, beating the Vikings by a score of 7-3 in the 1-2. A line drive shot going into center field, a 1-hopper to the center fielder Carter Booth, and it's a 1-out single for the senior center fielder Christian LaPierre, and the first hit for Lake Stevens this afternoon. And it'll bring up the starting right fielder Tanner Lind, number 20. He has scored 7 runs this season. He has hit 2 doubles. He has been walked 5 times with a .214 batting average, 9 hits and 42 at-bats with 4 RBIs and a team-high 10 stolen bases and 11 attempts. The first pitch by Case Matter outside and upstairs for a ball 1. Lake Stevens, they got their final conference game tomorrow, playing at Lake Stevens High School with Will Wentz supposedly on the mound. 1-0 outside for a ball 2. And Case to 2-0. Foul ball, this one going over the Jackson bleachers again. 2 balls and 1 strike. Lake Stevens, they play tomorrow against Jackson for senior night in the final regular season game for the Jackson Timberwolves, as this is their 19th game of the year. And the 2-1 pitch, a strike 2 looking. This one hitting the outside corner of the strike zone. Lake Stevens playing their final home game, and then will be playing on Wednesday at North Creek High School against the upstart Cougars baseball team. The 2-2 pitch outside for a ball 3. And the North Creek game, again, it was a game that was rescheduled. Supposed to be a Lake Stevens Central Kitsap game, and the payoff pitch outside, ball 4, Lake Stevens. with multiple runners on base for the first time this afternoon. Brings up the shortstop, number 22, Hunter Zalasko. The sophomore is also hitting .214, entering this game also with 9 hits and also in 42 at-bats. He has 8 RBIs with 6 for 6 in stolen bases. He has been hit 4 times. He has scored 8 runs. He has hit 3 doubles and has been walked 6 times entering this game. The first pitch by Case Matters, strike one looking. And North Creek, a team that, or at least their school, is entering their first ever season in the Kinko Conference. The 0-1 will go inside for a ball one, currently at 3 wins and 15 losses. For the Vikings, it'll really just be seen as an exhibition game. Starting some players that didn't really play that much, as it'll be the final regular season game before playoffs will start on May 5th. 1 ball and 1 strike. The sophomore Case Matter against the sophomore Hunter Zalasko. Looking over at Christian at second base. And the 1-1. It'll be a foul grounder. This one hitting the fence right next to the Jackson dugout along the third base side. Case ahead of the count, 1 ball and 2 strikes. And ever since the announcement that Lake Stevens was going to play North Creek, they did get their 3rd win of the year, a 1-run win against Bothell, and the 1-2 pitch, it'll hit Hunter Zalasko. It'll be the 5th time that it'll be beaned, and the Vikings, after Jackson loads the bases in the bottom of the first inning, Lake Stevens will load the bases in the top of the second, bringing up the right fielder, Brendan Miller. He's been hit twice. He has scored 3 runs. He has been walked 3 times, 2 doubles, and 1 triple. And if anyone remembers from Friday's game, Brendan Miller, he is all too familiar with coming at the plate with the bases loaded. He flew out to right field back in Friday's game against Glacier Peak that leave the bases loaded. In the 3rd inning, he was walked, getting an RBI. And in the 4th inning, he had a 2-run single. First pitch, a short fly ball. Carter Booth running for it. And it's the second baseman, Dylan Anders, who can't get it. Throw to third is not in time. It'll be an RBI single for Brendan Miller, his 10th of the year. And Lake Stevens gets on the board. As they now trail by 3, LaPierre scores from third base.
Now batting the designated hitter.
The ball will land in short right center field. It looked like the center fielder Carter Booth was racing in to get that one, but instead the closest Jackson player was Dylan Anders, the second baseman, who tried diving for that one. And it'll bring up the number 9 hitter, the designated hitter Bryce Mefford. He'll be hitting for the starting pitcher Justin Troya. He has scored 6 runs. He has hit 1 double, and he has been walked 2 times for Lake Stevens. It'll be Brendan Miller's 10th RBI of the year. And Case to wind up in the first pitch. Low and outside for a ball 1. And Lake Stevens entering this game, 7 wins and 10 losses with a .500 conference record of 6-6. Fly ball, this one landing in the infield. The shortstop, Kyle Saris, will move a couple steps to his right to make the catch for the second out of the second inning. And it'll bring us back to the top of the order. For the second time around, left fielder Ben Pisery to pay off pitch to center field. In short center field, where it was caught by the center fielder Carter Booth. Matter getting the sign from Ben Steck. First pitch, strike 1 looking. Game tying run is at first base, and Brendan Miller. In the top of the second inning, wind up. Ground ball. This one going to the second baseman, Dylan Anders, who tosses it to second to get Miller out, and that will end the top of the second inning. It'll be 1 run on 2 hits. No errors and 3 runners left on. The Vikings, they do get a run on the board. They trail by 3. Justin Troya entering the mound for the bottom of the second inning, facing off against Anders, the second baseman, who was a 9-hitter. And then we'll go back up to the top of the order for Carter Booth and Addison Beckman. Jackson leads 4-1 as we go into the bottom of the second inning. And we are now back into the bottom of the second inning. Lake Stevens, they get a run on the board, but they still trail by 3. Justin Troya back on the mound, facing off against the second baseman, Dylan Anders, who tries bunting for it. It'll land in foul territory. Troya had a rough First inning, 11 balls on 12 strikes for 23 pitches. That is his pitch total after 1 inning, allowing 4 runs on 4 hits, no errors, and 1 runner left on. That was Bradley Lundquist at third base. And so far, that is the total after 1 inning in the game. The 0-1 by Justin. Dylan Anders, he was hinting at bunting for that one, but will move his bat away just in time. Low in the dirt to the catcher, Trey Long, for a ball 1. And the reserves for the Jackson Timberwolves, they have Jackson Weber, who again was going to Vanguard for baseball next year. The 1-1 pitch upstairs, ball 2, is Evan Canfield, Jeremy Vieira, a couple of new names here from last season that were playing on the junior varsity team last year, Mason Lowe. And the 2-1 pitch upstairs for a ball 3 is Jace Marquardt, Tyler Elsmore, who is expected to be tomorrow's starting pitcher, is Caden Sodas, Alex Schultz, Mason Lowe. And the 3-1 pitch upstairs, ball 4, and Jackson will get another base runner on Justin's second walk of the afternoon. Brings us to the top of the order in the starting center fielder, Carter Booth, who hit a 1-0 pitch. A ground ball off the glove of the shortstop, Hunter Zalasko, as he tried diving for that one. Carter, he later saw that it was rolling away from the left fielder, Ben Pizer, towards the third base line. And Carter decided to make a run for it towards second base. He later scored on an RBI double by Diego Altamirano, the cleanup hitter. Justin, the first pitch. Runner goes, foul ball. Gets off the catcher's mask of Trey as Dylan was running for it.
Second time he's done first movement, Troya. Let's go.
And Jackson, they had a few pretty good players graduate from last year's team. Easily the best one was last year's ace pitcher, Jacob Bogatz. He was everywhere last year. Every time he would start, there was always something on him. Throw to first, not in time. Did he get him? No, he didn't. Dylan Anders with a late reaction as he tried diving the first. Or he tried diving the first. He did dive the first. It's just a late reaction. It was Jacob Bogatz. There was a couple outfielders. Jaden Rosso, who was playing left field. Anton Sodervis, who was playing right field. And Adam Sullivan, who was playing a few positions in the infield. And a foul ball. This one in the fence. Going over to Lake Stevens bleachers, and along the first base side, no balls and 2 strikes. Gavin O'Donnell was another player that graduated. He was a pretty decent catcher, as now Ben Steck is playing for him behind the plate. And Evan McKay, who was a pretty reliable reliever for Jackson last season as well for the past couple of seasons. And a few of the top returning players, again, Addison Beckman, Ben Steck. They were 2 of a few pretty good infielders for Jackson, and those are the only 2 that are returning. And the 0-2 outside, ball 1. Ben Steck, he was playing, just like what I said with Adam Sullivan, he was playing in any position, really, as long either second base or shortstop for Adam Sullivan. But for Ben Steck, he could play any part of the infield. And it looks like his junior season will be stuck behind the plate, along with Chris Grayson. And the throw to first, not in time. Chris Grayson, the left fielder. He also played a little bit of catcher as well, as in last year's game here at Jackson High School, where the Timberwolves won by the score 11-1. Gavin O'Donnell, who was the starter at the time, was replaced by Chris Grayson around the 6th inning. The 1-2, fly ball, that goes into left field. Ben Pizer is moving a little forward. Now it's getting a little faster. And will make the catch.
Now batting the first baseman, number 6.
He overestimated a little bit how far that ball was going to go. He was moving a couple of steps closer, and then a couple seconds go by, you see him just start running in short left field, and he'll make the catch. Dylan Anders going back to first base just in time, and it'll bring up Addison Beckman, who was walked on 5 pitches. And the first pitch of a foul ball, a ground ball just gets behind home plate as Dylan Anders is once again hitting for second. And there were a few Wesco 4A first-team players. Jacob Bogatz, a Wesco 4A first-team pitcher, which, for anyone who has paid attention to Wesco baseball for the past couple of years, it comes to no surprise. Throw to first, not in time. Jacob Bogatz now playing for Northern Colorado University to play for college baseball. Addison Beckman was a first-team infielder, and Carter Booth a first-team outfielder. And second team, Ben Steck was a first-team infielder. Again, he is now playing behind the plate. Justin Troya, first pitch. to Addison Beckman. Ball 1 upstairs. Anton Sodervis, a second-team outfielder, and Diego Altamirano, when he is not designated hitter, he also plays a little bit of outfield, and that got him a West Coast second-team honor as an outfielder as well. Throw to first, not in time. That gets past Will. Dylan Anders racing to second base. That one goes all the way to the fence. Anders now going to third base, and the throw will be not in time. As on an error by the pitcher, Justin Troya, Dylan Anders moving from one side of the infield to the other from first to third. And Jackson with another runner in scoring position. And Justin the 1-1, low. And outside for a ball 2. And the 2-1 pitch outside for a ball 3. Justin having some of the same troubles as he had back in the first inning. Had a little trouble finding the strike zone there early, but then was able to get the 3 outs in the bottom of the first through groundouts and flyouts. And the 3-1 pitch outside of 1. Hopper to Trey. And with 1 out, there are runners on the corners. Manager Josh White going to the mound once again to talk to Justin Troya, along with the starting catcher Trey Long and the entire infield approaching the mound. The Jackson Timberwolves, they have won their last 4 games, with their last loss being on April 19th here at Jackson High School. They're playing the Cascade Bruins, and they lost by the score of 8-2. Jackson, they are second place in Wesco. Cascade, led by the duo of Brett and Brock Gillis on the mound and at the plate. They're currently first place with only 1 conference loss. They have won their last 4 games, sweeping Kamiak by the scores of 15-3 and 9-3, and then sweeping Monroe by the score of 8-1 and 13-5. As in the standings, Cascade currently a game ahead of Jackson, 3 games ahead of Mount Vernon and Glacier Peak, 4 games ahead of Lake Stevens, and 5 games ahead of the number 6 seed, the Monroe Bearcats. Cascade, they are entering today, April 30th, 2018, with a 14-3 overall record and a 10-2 conference record. I said they only had 1. And Addison Beckman going to second, and Trey Long not able to throw. It'll be a wild pitch by Justin Troya. Addison Beckman, along with a lot of other Jackson batters, they're paying attention to every single detail, every single small little detail that Lake Stevens does. And you saw that Trey Long wasn't approaching the ball quick enough. And this one, a hard hit ball going to left field. Ben Pizer going back. Ben Pizer, he keeps going back. He's at the wall. He makes a catch. Anders going to third base, and he will score. It'll be a 5-1 Jackson lead.
Now batting the designated hitter, number 35.
And that'll be Ben Steck with his first RBI of the afternoon. And it'll bring up the designated hitter, Diego Altamirano, along with Jackson Weber, one of 2 players going to play at Vanguard University next season. And Altamirano on the first pitch, he had a 2-run double. And Justin, the first pitch, strike 1 looking. And before the game, the Jackson Timberwolves, they had a ceremony for all the seniors who are graduating. In June, they were playing for the Jackson baseball team, some of them 2-year starters, some of them 3-year starters, who have meant a lot to the Jackson baseball team over the years. The 0-1 pitch upstairs for a ball 1. They're also the latest in a number of teams to add, well, really just add music and walk-up songs and stuff like that. And I'm mentioning that because I'm pretty sure Diego Altamirano's song sounded very similar to the Rick and Morty theme. The 1-1 outside, ball 2. Just felt like I needed to mention that. That was, it brings me back. Cascade, 10-2 conference record entering this game. They play the Kamiak Knights, who are one of 2 teams who do not have a Wesco playoff spot, very similar to last season. Kamiak and Mariner not getting a spot. The 2-1 pitch, strike 2 looking. Mariner, they got their first conference win last week, destroying Kamiak by the score of 11-4. They now have a 1-11 conference record. and a 4-13 overall record. Kamiak with the worst overall record at 4-14. The 2-2 pitch, fly ball. That is foul. Land right next to the concession stands that are alongside the third base side, right next to the dugout. Count still 2 balls and 2 strikes. Addison Beckman at second. The 2-2. Outside, ball 3, full count. Jackson playing Lake Stevens. 9-3. They are second place. Second place, and they are in line for the number 2 seed. If they can sweep Lake Stevens, if Cascade loses a game, they might get the number 1 seed. Altamirano, a ground ball to Zelasco. Bobbles the ball, and it'll try, and Will Wentz trying to pick it, and it will get past the first baseman, Will Wentz. And Jackson will get another run on the board. Beckman scoring from second. It's now 6-1 Jackson.
Third base towards the high school. The police are out writing down license plates number. She's going to give you a chance to go move your cars.
And it'll bring up the number 5 hitter, Bradley Lundquist. A 2-0 pitch ended in an RBI single. Got a stolen base from first to second. And he later went to third on an RBI ground out by the number 6 hitter, Chris Grayson. It scored Diego Altamirano from second base. And the 2 teams that are tied for third place in the standings, Mount Vernon, they're going to play the Mariner Marauders, and Glacier Peak, they are playing the Monroe Bearcats. They're both tied for second place. First pitch low for a ball 1. Lake Stevens, again, they currently are holding the number 5 seed right now with a .500 record of 6-6. And Monroe currently with the number 6 seed at 5-7. The 1-0 upstairs for ball 2. And Kamiak with a 3-9 record for the one of the 2 spots out of the playoffs, and Mariner 1-11. 2-0 by Justin upstairs, ball 3. Justin facing against his 6th batter in the inning. Faced off against 8 batters in the first inning, of which half of them scored. And Diego at second. Strike 1 looking, a 3-1 count. And the Lake Stevens Vikings, their series since 2012 against the Jackson Timberwolves has been a pretty entertaining one. The 3-1, upside ball 4. Jackson once again with runners on first and second. It'll be walk number 3 on the inning, walk number 4 on the afternoon for Justin. Josh White walking to the mound again along with the catcher Trey Long. As Josh White will look towards the bullpen, he'll bring up Tate Brust. As he will walk up to the mound for the first time this afternoon. Justin Troya's night is done. We'll take a quick break into the bottom of the second inning. Jackson currently leads Lake Stevens by the score of 6-1. Runners on first and second with 2 Jackson Timberwolves out.
Infielder, 39.
And we are now back in the bottom of the second inning. Jackson, they have scored 2 runs in the second inning and look like they are ready to score some more as they have runners on first and second base. The left fielder Chris Grayson at the plate against the new pitcher for Lake Stevens, Tate Brust. First pitch upstairs for a ball 1. Sophomore pitching in his 4th game this year. No wins, 1 loss, and an ERA of 2.26 in 6 2/3 innings. He has allowed 7 hits, allowing 2 earned runs, walking 3 and striking out 4. Check swing, strike 1 looking to the junior left fielder, Chris Grayson. He hit a 1-1 pitch to the second baseman, Brandon Miller, for an RBI groundout that scored Altamirano from third base. And the 1-1 fly ball foul. Tate ahead of the count, 1 ball and 2 strikes. Justin Troya currently with an inning and 2/3. With 6 runs, he was named the 1-2. Check swing upstairs, ball 2. He struck out no one and walked 4 batters. And the 1-2 pitch, swing and a miss, strike 3. And on 1 batter, Tate Bruss will end the 2nd inning. It is the first strikeout for Lake Stevens pitching this afternoon. It is 2 runs on no hits, 1 error, and 2 runners left on. A pretty rough inning for Lake Stevens, as the Vikings will come up to the plate in the top of the 3rd inning. Case Matter back on the mound against Theron Perkins, Trey Long, and Will Wentz, the 2, 3, and 4 hitters. As Lake Stevens tries to make this a ball game again, they trail 6-1. And we are now back into the top of the 3rd inning. Jackson, they get a couple more runs on the board, and they take a 6-1 lead over the Vikings. Case Matter against the number 2 hitter, Theron Perkins, whom he struck out and swinging on 5 pitches. First pitch, a ball 1, a 1 hopper to the catcher, Ben Steck. Next pitch, a foul ball. And that'll land right near the feet of the catcher, Ben Steck. Case Matter, a pretty rough 2nd inning, 7 balls and 15 strikes for 22 pitches, 12 balls, 22 strikes on 34 pitches, and the 1-1 from Case. Line drive ball, this one going to Kyle Saris, the shortstop. The throw to first is in time to the first baseman, Addison Beckman. For the first out of the 3rd inning, brings up the number 3 hitter, Trey Long. On the first pitch, he hit a fly ball to the right fielder, Bradley Lundquist, to end the top of the 1st inning. And in that 2nd inning, 12 balls, 22 strikes on 34 pitches, 1 run on 1 hit, no errors, and 3 runners left on, and that is the total for the game for Lake Stevens. The first pitch from Case. Strike 1 looking. And Case throwing the first pitch. Curveball, the 0-1. Fly ball, that's foul. Leading towards fair territory. This one barely getting foul, as it lands just over the fence above the Lake Stevens dugout along the first base side. Case ahead of the count, no balls, 2 strikes. And the Jackson Timberwolves, they were intended to play a game at Everett Memorial Stadium against Ingram High School, but that game got rained out, and there's currently not a rescheduled game. And the 0-2 line drive shot. This one going to the shortstop. Saris, it gets between the legs of the shortstop, Kyle Saris. And it will be an error on the shortstop. He got megged out there. As he tries fielding that one, it had a couple bad hops, as it will go into center field. And Lake Stevens with a runner on first base with 1 out brings up Will Wentz, who hit a ground ball to the 3rd baseman, Ryan Contreras, on an 0-1 pitch. First pitch, a ball 1. And it was a pretty bad throw by the 3rd baseman, Contreras, but it was an amazing pick by the first baseman, Addison Beckman. The 1-0 pitch, a check swing, strike 1 looking. And Case throw to first, not in time. Trey did not wander off that far from the bag. Will with a team high of 15 RBIs. Case the 1-1 pitch, swing and a miss. Strike 2. And Case getting the sign from Ben again. Case stepping off the mound. He saw that Trey was wandering off by a step or 2. And the 1-2 fly ball, that is leaning towards foul. Bradley Lundquist running for that one, then decides to give up as he sees it fly over the fence. Count stays at 1 ball and 2 strikes. And Case ahead of the count. And the 1-2 swing and a miss, strike 3. That was on top of the strike zone. Will chasing for that one. It'll be the first strikeout for Case Matter. or no, the second strikeout for Case Matter through 2 2/3, and it'll bring up Christian Lapierre, who hit a 1-2 pitch into short right center field and scored the only run for Lake Stevens. First pitch, swing, and a missed, strike one. And Case Trey running for second in the 0-1. Trey's going to steal second. Trey started running even before Case started the windup, and that is stolen base number 8 on the season for the junior catcher, as the Vikings get another run in scoring position. And the 0-1 pitch, outside, ball 1. And Lapierre on Friday, he had a career afternoon. He went 4 for 5 with 3 RBIs and 2 runs scored, and a 1-1 pitch outside and upstairs, ball 2, the bend stick. And Lapierre, after striking out against Jackson Swim, he hit 2 doubles, scored 2 runs, he had 3 RBIs, but the game unfortunately ended on an RBI single when he tried to steal second. And the 2-1 pitch, foul ball. Case ahead of the count as it flies over the Jackson bleachers again. And Case now ahead of the count, 2 balls and 2 strikes. Trey at second base. The wind-up, check swing. Feels like that was a full count, not a. It was a 3-2. It was a 3-1 count, not a 2-2 count. And so Christian Lapierre will get walked on 5 pitches, and once again the Vikings with multiple base runners as they'll bring up Tanner Lind, who was walked on a full count. Had a couple pretty good hits in the past few games. After his bat was quiet for the most part of the year. First pitch outside, ball 1. Hit an RBI double back in the 6th inning off of Glacier Peak's relief pitcher Grant Doman. Timeout by Jackson. Ben Steck approaching the mound. And Case got the sign, the windup, check swing outside, ball 2. Tanner Lindy was walked with the bases loaded and was stranded at third. And the 2-0. Strike 1 looking, this one knee high outside. 2 balls and 1 strike. And Case the 2-1. Ground ball. This one getting past the pitcher and into the hole in center field. Trey rounds around third. Christian's going to stay at second, and the throw will be offline. He'll get past the catcher, Ben Steck. From the throw from the center fielder, Carter Booth. Trey's going to score on an RBI single.
Now batting the shortstop, number 22.
From Tanner Lind, his 5th RBI of the year. He is going to move to second on the error from the center fielder Carter Booth, and Christian Lapierre is going to move to third on the error from Carter Booth, and it'll bring up Hunter Zalesko, who was hit in the arm on a 1-2 pitch. First pitch, foul ball, goes over the fence behind home plate. And so that'll be the second error for Jackson and a timeout by Hunter. The scoreboard's not going to say that the throw from Carter, it was a 1-hopper. It took a bad hop to the catcher Ben Steck and it hit the backstop. Trey was going to score and the runners advanced. And the 0-1 pitch inside, ball 1. So the run will be unearned towards the sophomore Case Matter. The windup in the 1-1. Low and inside, ball 2. And Case the 2-1. Check swing, strike 2 looking. And Case Matter with a chance to end the inning for Lake Stevens with runners in scoring position for the second straight inning. The 2-2, foul ball, this hits the fence. With Case still ahead of the count. We're also starting in the bottom of the third inning. We're going to try and get some updates on the Cascade game. And the 2-2, another foul. Hunter fighting for it after 6 pitches. With the final few being foul balls. Hunter's trying to find that pitch. 2-2. And Hunter, guess what? He got hit again, and it was in the same spot. Got hit in his left arm above the elbow, and it was the same spot for the second straight at bat. And once again, Lake Stevens has the bases loaded. And once again, for the millionth time in the last 2 games, it'll be Brendan Miller. In Case, the first pitch low, ball 1. So the game-tying run is at home plate right now in Brendan Miller. And the 1-0 pitch in the dirt, ball 2. Oh. Well, we have a little bit of a miscalculation, as the game between Cascade and Kamiak under the lights at Kamiak High School will not start until 6 p.m. So we'll give you an update on who won that game tomorrow. Timeout by Jackson. It'll be the catcher, Ben Steck, and the manager for Jackson, longtime manager Kirk Nicholson, on the mound, talking to the sophomore. And we are now back, top of the third. Brendan Miller, this one, a shot in the short center field. 1 run's going to score. Tanner's riding around third base. The throw home, is it in time? Did he get him? No, he didn't. Tanner tried evading the tag, and he couldn't. It's a nice throw by the center fielder, Carter Booth, to get Tanner. And Lind, with a nice effort there on trying to evade the tag from the catcher, Ben Steck. But it will not do enough. It'll be an RBI single for Brendan Miller. LaPierre will score. Tanner will get out on an 8-2. It was a nice throw. A laser from short center field in Carter Booth. It'll be 2 runs on 2 hits, 2 errors, and 2 runners left on. Lake Stevens, they are crawling back. They are down 6-3. They got a couple runs on the board. Tate Brust back on the mound in the bottom of the third inning, facing off against the bottom 3 hitters, Case Matter, Kyle Saris, and Dylan Anders, as Jackson tries to increase their lead once again. And we are now back in the bottom of the third inning. Lake Stevens getting a couple runs on the board and now trail by the score of 6-3. Tate Brust back on the mound against Case Matter, going to right field. Tanner Lind running for it, and will make the catch right near the first base foul line. And another great play right near the foul line by the junior right fielder, Tanner Lind. It'll bring up Kyle Sears, not Kyle Saris. Kyle Sears is spelled S-E-R-R-E-S. That's how he spells his last name. Hit an 0-2 pitch to Tanner to end the bottom of the first inning. And Tate, the first pitch upstairs, ball 1. Tate threw only 5 pitches to 1 batter, striking out Chris Grayson. But overall, that inning was pretty rough for Lake Stevens. 2 runs on no hits, 2 errors, and 2 runners left on. The 1-0 pitch, swing and a miss, strike 1. And overall, for the Jackson Timberwolves, they have 6 runs on 4 hits, 2 errors, and 3 runners left on. And the 1-1. Fly ball, short fly ball going to the right field. Tanner running for it. Second baseman Brendan Miller is also around the vicinity and will call for it and will make the catch.
Now batting the second baseman, number 3.
And then we'll bring up Dylan Anders, who was walked on a full count in 5 pitches and later scored on a sacrifice fly by Ben Steck. So Justin Troya's final stat line, 1 2/3 innings pitched, 4 hits, 6 runs, 5 of them earned, walking 4 batters, striking out no one on 50 pitches. And Tate first pitch, low, strike 1 looking. It's a nice pitch by the sophomore Tate Brust. And the 0-1, ground ball. This one going to Zalasko, shortstop. Throw to first in time. His foot gets on the bag, and it'll be a 1-2-3 inning for Tate Brust in his first full inning of work. No runs, no hits, no errors, and nobody left on. At the end of 3, it is Jackson 6, Lake Stevens 3. As it'll be the top of the 4th inning, Case Matter. He has thrown 64 pitches through 3 innings. And it doesn't look like he might be slowing down anytime sooner. This is, much as we know, Case Matter might go back on the mound. He will. He'll face off against the 9-1-2 hitters of Bryce Mefford, Ben Pizer, and Theron Perkins, who are just getting, who look like they're getting to Case Matter, and looks like Kirk Nicholson, the manager, knows that because the bullpen is now active. But we'll just have to wait and see. Top of the 4th inning, Jackson 6, Lake Stevens 3. And we are now back in the top of the 4th inning. Lake Stevens back up at the plate again against Bryce Mefford. First pitch outside for a ball, 1-2. The designated hitter, Bryce Mefford, who popped out to the shortstop, Kyle Sears, in the top of the 2nd inning. The 1-0 by Case. Strike 1 looking.
That's the one.
And the 1-1. Check swing outside, ball 2. And Case to 2-1. Swing and a miss, strike 2. Case ahead of the count. He's also been throwing away, especially towards the left-handed hitters, which have mainly been Bryce, Ben Pizer, Christian LaPierre, and Tanner Lind. And the 2-2, did he go? Yes, he did. Swing and a miss, strike 3. And Case Matter throws his 3rd strikeout of the afternoon, and the first out of the 4th brings up Ben Pizer, who is 0 for 2. And the first pitch, foul ball. Will hit the fence behind home plate, 0-1. And Case Matter looking to throw as many innings as he did in his last start. The 0-1 pitch outside, ball 1. And the 1-1 by Case, foul ball. This one landing behind home plate. Case ahead of the count again, 1 ball and 2 strikes. And it's getting the sign from Ben Steck again, the 1-2. It'll be a foul chopper. That one almost fielded by the 3rd base coach for Lake Stevens, Jan Novak. He's had a number of them go towards him this year. I think he's only got 1 or 2. He's caught only 1 or 2 of them cleanly. Wind up in 1-2, outside, ball 2. And the 2-2 by Case. Ground ball. This one getting off of the pitcher's mound. And Ben Pizer will get a single of his own, a 1-out single. In the top of the 4th, it brings up Theron Perkins, who is 0 for 2 with a strikeout and a ground out. And the first pitch by Case, foul ball. He'll hit the mask of the home plate umpire, Steve Reed, as an 0-1 count. And Theron Perkins in the first inning, he struck out on 5 pitches on a 2-2 count. And in the third inning, he had a 1-1 pitch to the shortstop Kyle Sears, who threw the first to get him out to start the third inning. Timeout by Jackson. Case Matter going to talk with the catcher Ben Steck. There was also an update. If I remember correctly, there was an update between Glacier Peak and Monroe that the game is tied at 2. Throw to first, not in time. Yeah, we are getting close to May baseball, which means that anything can happen at this point, both in the end of the regular season and in the playoffs. And the 0-2 foul ball hits a fence. But this is mainly where it all begins. The 0-2 upstairs, ball 1 to the catcher Ben Steck. And there are different versions of it. Of course, there's the one in Major League Baseball, which we have been all too familiar with. There's some in college baseball for some conferences. And there's some especially in high school baseball in conferences like this. And the 1-2 fly ball, that one going into short left field. Chris Grayson calling for it, along with the shortstop Kyle Sears. Throw to first, not in time. And Pizer will stay at first. And he'll bring up the number 3 hitter, Trey Long. He flew out to the right fielder, Bradley Lundquist, in the first inning on the first pitch he saw. And then an 0-2 pitch, he got on base on an error by the shortstop, Kyle Sears. Got a stolen base, his 8th of the year, and scored one of 2 runs in the last inning. He scored on an RBI single by Tanner. And Case the first pitch. Swing and a miss, strike 1. Ben Pizer at first base. The pitch, swing and a miss, strike 2. As Case is ahead of the count. And Case Matter looking to end the inning. No balls, 2 strikes to pitch. Check swing, strike 3 called. And on 3 pitches.
Where's the... I need to give you my numbers so you can give me Trey's numbers.
No, it's
His numbers right there?
yeah, those are his numbers.
For the day? For the year?
For the year, yeah. And it'll be no runs on 1 hit, no errors, and 1 runner left on. Lake Stevens, they could not get any runs on the board. They still trail 6-3 as Tate Brust will go back on the mound in the bottom of the 4th inning, facing off against the top 3 batters, Carter Booth, Addison Beckman, and Ben Steck. Jackson leads by 3. And we are now back in the bottom of the 4th inning. Lake Stevens trailing Jackson by the score of 6-3. Tate Brust facing the top of the order for the first time this afternoon as he'll face off against Carter Booth, who is 1 for 2 with a double and a run scored. And Tate the first pitch. Outside, ball 1. Tate Brust, he was impressive in his first full inning with only 1 ball on 5 strikes for 6 pitches, total of 3 balls, 8 strikes, and 11 pitches. The 1-0 pitch is strike 1 looking. And all zeros on the inning, with the total still 6 runs, 4 hits, 2 errors, and 3 runners left on for Jackson. And the 1-1, low, ball 2. It'll be Carter Booth, the first baseman Addison Beckman, and the catcher Ben Steck. Beckman scoring in both times he's been up at the plate. The 2-1 pitch upstairs, ball 3. And Tate the 3-1 pitch. It'll go low under the strike zone for a ball 4, and Jackson getting their first base runner since the 2nd inning, and their first base runner off of Tate Brust. And it'll bring up Addison Beckman again. He has been walked in both plate appearances this afternoon, and he has scored in both plate appearances this afternoon. And Tate, the throw to first, not in time. And the series between the Vikings and the Timberwolves. It dates back to 2012. First pitch, a strike one looking. And the series of games that have made this matchup really impressive started in 2012. Jackson, they just got a second place finish in the state tournament, losing by 1 run to Bothell. Lake Stevens was an upstart team that had a lot of seniors. And the 0-1 pitch upstairs for a ball one. In the first home game of the year for the 2012 season, Lake Stevens, they beat Jackson by the score of 7-1, getting people's attention. They end up finishing with 19 wins and 1 loss on the year, winning a Wesco title and almost getting close to winning a state title. The 1-1 pitch outside for a ball two. In 2013, these two teams faced off again. This is before Lake Stevens and Jackson were in the same division. They were in 2 separate divisions, with Lake Stevens being in the Wesco 4A North and Jackson being in the Wesco 4A South. Those two teams would play against each other in the postseason. And the 2-1 pitch, a strike two looking. 2 balls and 2 strikes, Carter staying at first. And in the Wesco championship game, Lake Stevens, they won back-to-back titles, beating Jackson by the score of 7-6. And keep in mind, both of those teams, the 2012 team and the 2013 team, they were made up of players that played on the 2008 Little League World Series team that from Mill Creek that played at Williamsport, played in front of millions of people. So it makes those wins extra more impressive. The 2-2, a one hopper to Trey, runner goes, Carter, the throw to second. He'll almost go over the head of the shortstop, Hunter Zelasco. He has to jump to get that one. And Jackson with another runner in scoring position, as it'll be a full count, 3 balls and 2 strikes. And Lake Stevens, both teams ended up playing in the state tournament, because that's what the format was then, after this game, and both teams unfortunately lost in the first round. They did not play. They played one time in 2014. It was the first time here at Jackson, and this one going to left field. This will fall right in front of Ben. Carter running around third, and a run will score. It'll be an RBI single by Addison Beckman. Carter's going to score from second. It is now 7-3 Jackson. They'll bring up Ben Steck, hitting single on a 1-0 pitch back in the first inning and later scored, and he hit and sacrifice fly to left field in the second inning. That scored Beckman from third. Or no, it scored Dylan Enders from third. Beckman later scored in that inning. And the one hopper is Beckman. Throw to second will be low, but will he get him? He will not.
Big breath, big breath.
And it'll be a wild pitch. Beckman going to second after seeing that the ball hit the dirt. 1-0 count. Tate, line drive ball getting into left field. Addison, is he gonna run around third? No, he's gonna stop. And there will be runners on the corners with nobody out. Josh White once again going on the mound to talk to Trey Long before Diego Altamirano will come up to the plate again. He hit a 2-run double on his first pitch he saw in the first. And on a full count, he grounded out. Or no, he didn't ground out. He got on base on an error by Hunter Zalesko. And it'll bring up number 32, Xander Fogel, who will be the third pitcher for Lake Stevens in this game. We'll go into the bottom of the 4th inning. Jackson 7, Lake Stevens 3. Xander Fogel making his 4th appearance of the year. No, my mistake, 5th appearance of the year. As he will walk up to the mound and we'll get ready. 7-3 Jackson. And we're now back in the bottom of the 4th inning. Lake Stevens bringing up their third pitcher of the game, and number 32, Xander Fogel, the sophomore, pitching in his 5th game, 2 wins, no losses, an ERA of 1.97. He's allowed 2 earned runs and 7 1/3, allowing 6 hits, walking 1 and striking out 4, facing off against Diego Altamirano with the runners on the corners. First pitch outside, check swing for a ball 1. And Tate Bruss currently an inning and a third, 2 hits, currently 1 earned run, walking 1 and striking out 1. On 24 pitches. And the 1-0 fly ball, this one leaning towards foul territory. Ben Pizer nowhere near it. And the count will even up at 1 ball and 1 strike. And the 1-1 by Xander, inside, ball 2. And Fogel behind on the count. The wind-up runner goes. Hard hit ball. This one is laced foul. Xander ahead of the count on his first at bat. Ben Steck heading for second. I have to go back because it is a foul. And again, both of these teams will play against each other at Lake Stevens High School. Timeout by Diego. They'll play against each other tomorrow at Lake Stevens High School. The expected lineup is Will Wentz versus Tyler Elsmore. And the 2-2 pitch outside for a full count, 3-2. And the payoff pitch by Xander. Fly ball, that is fair territory. Tanner trying to find it in the sun. He can't find the ball. It lands right in front of him. A run is going to score. Steck going to second. And it will not get him. Tanner Lind. The sun's just coming in, and Tanner couldn't find the ball.
Now batting for the Timberwolves, the right fielder.
It'll be an RBI bloop single. That's going to score Beckman from third. Ben Steck is going to go to second. Steck thought he was going to catch the ball. And so he was racing towards second when he saw the ball drop. And so that will bring up Bradley Lundquist, who has an RBI single, stolen base, and was walked on 5 pitches. And Xander looking over at second, tries bunting for it. Strike one looking. The ball gets in the glove, and Bradley didn't move his bat away in time. And the 0-1 pitch outside, ball 1. And Xander, ground ball. This one going to Miller, who fields a nice bad hop. Throws to second and throws to first. It is in time for a 4-6-3 double play. A nice job by the second baseman, Brandon Miller, who fields a bad hop as a ball rolls from the grass near the mound to the infield. Tosses it to second. And then tosses it to first to get 2 quick outs. It'll move Ben Steck to third base. And that will bring up Chris Grayson, who is 0 for 2 with an RBI ground out and a strikeout. First pitch, a strike one looking. And the 0-1. Swing and a miss, strike 2. That one going in the dirt to Trey Long. And Xander ahead of the count, runner on third, 0-2, outside, ball 1. Josh White using another sophomore to pitch in relief for Justin Troya. And the 1-2 by Xander. Ground ball, this one getting off the glove of Xander. He's not able to throw it. It is fielded by the third baseman, Theron Perkins, and another run will score. It gets off the right leg of Xander Fogel. It is tough to say if they're going to say if that is an error or not. I'm pretty sure that, yeah, it's an infield single. An RBI infield single for Chris Grayson that scores Ben Steck. And so that will finish Tate Bruss's stat line. He has 3 earned runs. He'll face off against Case Matter. Runner goes. Trey, the throw to second. Does he get him? You bet he did. Trey Long getting Chris Grayson out at second base to end the fourth. The pitch was perfect from Xander Fogel, and the throw back to second was even better.
Baseball Booster Club sponsors. Heating and air conditioning.
And that will end the fourth inning. 3 runs on 3 hits, no errors, and nobody left on. Timberwolves got a few runs. Gets 3 runs on the board to make it 9-3. And it'll bring us up to the top of the 5th as of now. Yep, Case Matter back up on the mound. He has thrown 82 pitches through 4. Can he hold on for a 5th full inning? Let's find out as he face off against the middle hitters Will Wentz, Christian Lapierre, and Tanner Lind. Jackson leads by 6. And we are now back into the top of the 5th inning. Jackson now leads by the score of 9-3 to Lake Stevens. Case Matter back on the mound, facing off against Will Wentz. First pitch swing and a miss, strike 1. Case was all over Will in the last at-bat, making him swing in the final 2 pitches to end on a strikeout back in the 3rd. The 0-1 swing and a miss, a 1-hopper hitting the dirt. And he grounded out to the 3rd baseman, Ryan Contreras, on a nice play on the hot corner back in the 2nd inning. Or more of a nice pick by Addison Beckman, but you be the judge. And the 0-2 by Case. That is inside. Does that hit Will? Yes, it does. And it hit him in the helmet. He tries ducking away, but that ball somehow found him, and the Vikings will get their leadoff hitter at first base as Will Wentz gets hit for the 4th time this year. And he'll bring up Christian Lapierre. Just like Addison Beckman, he has scored in both of his plate appearances, entering his 3rd one. And the first pitch, low, ball 1. Case Matter, he threw for 5 balls and 13 strikes and 18 pitches in the 4th inning. A total of 29 balls, 53 strikes, and 82 pitches total for the sophomore. No runs, 1 hit, no errors, and 1 runner left on. The 1-0 ground ball. This one getting past the second baseman, Dylan Anderson, into left field. And Lake Stevens looks like they're getting back in business. They have runners on 1st and 2nd. And they'll bring up Tanner Lind, who hit an RBI single in the 3rd. That scored Trey Long from 2nd. And in that 4th inning, it was no runs on 1 hit, no errors, and 1 runner left on. The total, 3 runs on 4 hits, 2 errors, and a total of 6 runners left on. And Big Nick, Kirk Nicholson, is going to take out Case Matter. And it looks like they're going to not only take Case Matter out of the game, they're going to take out right fielder Bradley Lundquist as well. And they're going to bring up number 47, Evan Canfield.
Number 47, Evan Canfield.
And we'll take a quick break in the top of the 5th inning. Jackson, they lead Lake Stevens by the score of 9-3. As the Vikings look like they're threatening early. Nobody out, runners on 1st and 2nd base.
Number 20.
And we are now back into the top of the 5th inning. Lake Stevens threatening with runners on 1st and 2nd base. And Jackson bringing in a new pitcher in number 47, Evan Canfield, the junior right-hander, against the junior left-hander right fielder Tanner Lind. And Canfield first pitch, strike 1 looking. Case Matter finishing with 4 innings, 4+ innings, allowing 5 hits. Currently 3 runs total, but only 1 is earned. He is responsible for Will at 2nd and Christian at 1st. Walking 1 batter, striking out 4 on 87 pitches. And the 0-1. Swing and a miss, strike 2. Evan ahead of the count, 0-2 on Tanner. And Evan, the 0-2. Swing and a miss, strike 3. Evan Canfield striking out the first batter that he faces for the first out of the 5th. Bringing it up, Hunter Zalasko. He has been hit twice in this game. And has been stranded on 2nd in both occasions. The first one was in the 2nd inning on a 1-2 count, and the second one was on a 2-2 count in the 3rd. And again, he was at 2nd base in both occasions. First pitch upstairs, ball 1. And Canfield looking over at Will at 2nd. Fly ball, that looks like it's leaning fair, but it'll go foul. as that will land in the grass. It'll land in the grass right next to the Lake Stevens dugout. Yeah, timeout by Hunter. Now one of the ground rules that Kirk Nicholson told Josh White was that any foul balls that are in the woods don't get any that are in the grass. That's your problem. And the 1-1 pitch, a one-hopper to the catcher Ben Steck, as it digs in the dirt a little bit right near the feet of Hunter Zalesko. I don't even care at this point. As the runners will stay, got in a little trouble for saying his last name wrong this whole year. 2-1. Strike two looking. This one to the right-hander hitting the outside part of the strike zone. And Canfield, the 2-2, line shot in foul territory towards the Jackson bullpen along the third base side near left field. 2 balls and 2 strikes.
Let's go. You got this.
And Hunter looking for the pitch. 2-2, a foul grounder. This one hitting the leg right near his left foot. That was Alasko, another foul. Same thing as, looks like Hunter's going with the same strategy as the last at-bat in which he was trying to fight to find the right pitch, but in that last at-bat, the pitch ended up hitting him. Will Wentz at second base. Christian LaPierre at first base. 2 balls and 2 strikes. Line shot, this one going to the shortstop Sears, who throws to second, who throws to first, doesn't get him in time. It's a fielder's choice for Hunter Zalesko. There's a short ground ball fielded by the second baseman Kyle Sears, who tosses it to Dylan Anders at second, who throws a soft one to the first baseman Addison Beckman, and doesn't get to Zalesko in time by a step. And it'll bring up Brendan Miller, who is 2 for 2 with 2 singles and 2 RBIs. And the first pitch, ball strike 1. Hunter going to second. Does he get him? No, he doesn't. Zalesko with stolen base number 7 on the year. And the Vikings once again with runners on second and third.
Let's go, Bills. There's some jewelry out there. Go, baby. Go, Bills. Let's go, Jay.
And the 0-1. Hard hit ball. This one going to center field. Carter Booth moving to his left a little bit and will make the catch. Very leisurely. It'll end the 5th inning. It'll be no runs on 1 hit, no errors, 2 runners left on. It is still a 9-3 Jackson lead as Xander Fogle will approach the mound again. He'll face off against the bottom 3 hitters, Case Matter, Kyle Sears, and Dylan Anders for the first time around against a sophomore, against Jackson 9, Lake Stevens 3. You are listening to Lake Stevens Vikings Varsity Baseball. And we are now back into the bottom of the 5th inning. Jackson leading Lake Stevens 9-3. Xander Fogle back on the mound against the number 7 hitter, Case Matter. It was during his at-bat in which Chris Grayson got caught stealing second base to end the 4th. And the first pitch by Xander. Check swing, strike 1 looking. Xander Fogle, 5 balls, 9 strikes, 14 pitches, for a total of 8 balls, 17 strikes, and 25 pitches for Xander. Or no, it's just a total of 5 balls, 9 strikes, and 14 pitches. Check swing, strike 2 looking. Mixing up a little bit with Tate's stats from the last inning. For a total of 3 runs on 4 hits, no errors, and nobody left on. The total is 9 runs on 8 hits, 2 errors, and 3 runners left on through 4. Xander ahead of the count, no balls and 2 strikes. The wind up and the throw to Trey. Hard hit ball going into right field, foul. This one landing in the grass again. So it was 2014. It was the first time that Lake Stevens played at Jackson, and it ended in a 6-2 Jackson win. It was the first time that the Vikings lost in that span. And the 1-2 pitch, the 0-2 pitch, swing and a miss, strike three. The first strikeout for Xander Fogle. He gets Case Matter swinging. And there will be a pinch hitter. It will be number 42, Chase Matthews, who will be pinch hitting for Kyle Sears. And there's no word on whether he'll also replace him in the shortstop position either, or if he already has. It was 2014. It was the only matchup. 2015, it was the first time. First pitch, foul ball over the fence. Over the fence that is bordering the Jackson dugout along the third base line. In 2015, it was 3 matchups between the Vikings and Timberwolves, and the first time in this format that we're in right now, with Lake Stevens winning both games, and they were huge ones. This one, a shot straight to the third baseman, Theron Perkins. It was a slow liner. Theron Perkins, he had to jump up a little bit to get that one. It'll bring up number 48, Mason Coe. That is Mason. It is Coe, C-O-E. Having the Office theme song as his walk-up song. There needs to be more teams that have, like, very creative walk-up music. The Office, just like every person in my age demographic, was a show that I grew up with, so I can clearly understand that. First pitch upstairs for a ball 1. You would be surprised how many people I know watch The Office. It's Parks and Rec. No surprise there. I mean, my goodness, Chris Pratt graduated from Lake Stevens. Of course everyone's watching Parks and Rec. And the 1-0 swing and a miss, strike 1. I mean, it's just a simple, just common thing. There's a simple rule. If you don't watch The Office, or if you don't watch Parks and Rec and you're an upperclassman, you are officially not cool. And the 1-1 swing and a miss, strike 2. Now, I can't prove this with my own eyes, but I've heard it from many people who have graduated. I am just throwing this out there. I don't even know anymore. The 1-2 pitch from Xander, outside ball 2. I'm just going on a complete tangent about just a bunch of shows that everyone's watching at this point. Anything to pass the time and make sure there's no dead air. 2-2 by Xander, 1 hopper to Trey, ball 3. So in 2015, Lake Stevens and Jackson, they've played in the final 2 games of the year since 2015. And Lake Stevens, that year, they were at a point where if they lost those final 2 games, they would possibly be out of the playoffs. They won both those games by a score of 8-3 at Lake Stevens and 7-5 at Jackson. The payoff pitch, line shot, that was a screamer! Past the shortstop, Hunter Zalesko in the left center. And Mason Coe has a 2-out single. Jesus! It's only in a few times in one's lifetime where you would hear a bat sound like that in a baseball game. Mason Coe has just achieved that. That is a screamer. I can confidently say that I have never heard that I haven't heard that in a long time. I haven't heard it this year. And my goodness, it has been so long since I've heard that noise. This is one of the reasons why baseball is one of my favorite sports, is because of moments like that. Mason Coe, the pinch hitter, with a screamer. You can barely hear that, and the fans cheering for him. Back to the top of the order, Carter Booth, deep to left field. Ben Pizer going back at the wall. Pizer going back, looking up, see ya! Looks like Carter Booth is blasting off again, a 2-run home run, scoring Dylan Anders, who was a pinch runner for Mason Coe. The score now 11-3. And that was a well-hit ball by the Oregon State commit. And there was a few fans who are looking for that home run ball now. Carter Booth now one of the top stars in this game for Jackson. 3 runs, a double and a homer. as the score is now 11-3, and Xander Fogel taken out of the game, and they're going to bring in Alec Ibachuan, the fourth pitcher for Lake Stevens. As Xander Fogel might be shaken up after allowing that homer. As it'll be the bottom of the fifth inning. The score now, Jackson 11, Lake Stevens 3. Alec Ibachuan on the mound for the fifth time this year as well. We'll take a quick break. And we are now back in the bottom of the fifth inning. Jackson taking an 11-3 lead after a two-run home run by Carter Booth, the leadoff hitter. It'll be Alec Ibachuan who will be on the mound, the fourth pitcher for Lake Stevens. Against Addison Beckman, first pitch, ball one. Beckman, he has been walked twice. He had an RBI single and has scored in all three plate appearances. And Alec Ibachuan in his fifth appearance, no wins, no losses, an ERA of 1.34. The 1-0, a strike one looking. In 5 2/3 innings, he has allowed 6 hits. He has allowed 1 earned run. He has walked 6 batters, and he has struck out only 1. The 1-1 pitch. Fly ball, that is playable. This one staying in the infield, and Hunter Zalesko making the catch and slipping a little bit as he transitions into going to the outfield grass and short center. And it will end the fifth inning. 2 runs on 2 hits, no errors, and nobody left on. Carter Booth, a 2-run shot in the left field into the parking lot. That may or may not have hit a car. I cannot tell if it did. And we'll take a quick break as we go into the top of the 6th inning. Evan Canfield on the mound in the top of the 6th. Score, Jackson 11, Lake Stevens 3. And we are now back into the top of the 6th inning. Evan Canfield on the mound against Bryce Mefford for the first time. Ball 1. Mefford 0 for 2 with a fly out and a strikeout. We have more information on that Carter Booth home run. There is a gray minivan that is parked right in front of the left field wall. Not only did it hit the top of the minivan, but that there was an old man in the minivan that got freaked out by the fact that a ball just hit the minivan. I am not joking. There's no exaggeration whatsoever. Okay, maybe except that the old guy got freaked out, but he was in the car. He was in the minivan. I can confirm that. There's a group of people, I think 3 people, and a blue lawn chair right in front of the gray minivan. Maybe to give it some shelter, try to make it as a wall. Maybe, someone as a sacrifice or something if Carter somehow gets back at the plate. 2 balls and 1 strike. A 1-hopper inside in the dirt for a ball 3, 3-1. That is all I can say is, God, I love baseball. I can't really find any other words to say that, because that's like one of the very few things I can latch on to, because Lake Stevens is down by 8. The 3-1 pitch. Upstairs, ball 1. Or upstairs, ball 4. And Bryce Mefford will start off in the top of the 6th inning. Will bring us back to the top of the order for the 4th time around. It'll be Ben Pizer, who is 1 for 3 with a single in the 4th inning. And so Evan Canfield, 2 balls and 10 strikes for 12 pitches. Throw to first, not in time. And in that inning, it was no runs on 1 hit, no errors, and 2 runners left on, with a total of 3 runs on 5 hits, 2 errors, and 8 runners left on. And the first pitch to Ben, ball 1, gets under the strike zone. And Bryce hinting to go to second, 1-0 fly ball. Looks like it's playable as the catcher, Ben Steck, tries to get it, and that one falls. That one falls on the temple of someone in the Lake Stevens bleachers. It just fell right on top of someone's head. He's just nonchalantly blowing it off afterwards. That one, there was a group of people that were trying to avoid that. That fell right in the middle of the Lake Stevens bleachers along the first base side. I've never seen that before. That just fall right in front and hit someone right in the cranium. The 1-1, a shot in the right. Lundqvist going for it. This one going in foul territory, and Lundqvist trying to dive for it. and could not make the catch. Evan ahead of the count, 1 ball, 2 strikes. And Ben Pizer in his last at-bat back in the 4th inning. It was a 2-2 pitch into the hole in right field past the second baseman, Dylan Anders, and that ended Case Matters night. The 2-2 pitch, a shot in the left. Bryce going to second. And it'll be a second hit for Ben Pizer. As for the second consecutive inning, Lake Stevens will get their first 2 batters on base. It'll bring up Theron Perkins, who is 0 for 3. With a strikeout, a ground out, and a fly out. And Evan, the first pitch. Ground ball, this one going to Sears. Throws to second, throws to first, and he could. No, he got him out for a double play. No way. He beat that by 1 step. Are you kidding me? Yeah, I've had a pretty good job keeping my temper when it comes to stuff like this, but now it's just ridiculous. The infield umpire, Bob Fordham, calling that Theron was out, saying that he was out. The play at second, I'm absolutely forward because he was out. That is just not, no, that is not good. I'm not going to go forward and say that I hate the call, but that's just not a good call. First pitch by Trace. It's a Trey, strike 1 looking. He's 0 for 2 with a stolen base and a run scored. And Evan, the 0-1. Swing and a missed strike 2. Trey, his first time around against the junior right-hander Evan Canfield. So Case Matter, his night will stay at 4+ innings, allowing 5 hits, 3 runs, 1 earned, 1 walk, striking out 4 in 87 pitches. And the 0-2 around the same spot as the last one. The only difference is Trey did not move an inch of his bat, 1 ball and 2 strikes. And the 1-2 by Canfield. Hard hit ball into left center. Carter Booth going back, looking for it, makes the catch, and it will end the top of the 6th inning. No runs on 1 hit, no errors, and 1 runner left on. Lake Stevens, for the 3rd straight inning, they could not get a run on the board. They trail by 8 as Aleki Bachuan trots over to the mound at the bottom of the 6th, facing off against Ben Steck, Diego Altamirano, and Bradley Lundquist for the first time around against the Bachuan. 11-3 Jackson as it's the bottom of the 6th inning. And we are now back into the bottom of the 6th inning. Jackson leads by 8. Aleki Bachuan against the starting catcher Ben Steck, who is 2 for 2 with an RBI and 2 runs scored against the Vikings. They'll wind up in the first pitch, upstairs for a ball 1. This is now the 3rd straight game between Lake Stevens and Jackson at Jackson High School, in which the Timberwolves have scored more than 10 runs dating back to 2015 or 2016. The 1-0 low for a ball 2. The first one was in 2016. It was a 5-inning perfect game by Jacob Bogas that was capped off by a home run by Carter Booth, who at the time was a sophomore, to center field. This one's a deep shot in the left center. Pizer going back. Pizer looking up, and it's gone. Ben Steck, the other player going to Oregon State, blasting off again with a solo shot. It is now 12-3 Jackson. Now bring up the cleanup hitter, Diego Altamirano. 2 for 2, 3 RBIs and a run. Score now, Jackson 12, Lake Stevens 3, the windup. Outside, ball 1. Starting off in 2015 was a Carter Booth homer. That one was in left center field. It wasn't as far as Carter Booth's homer, but at least we know where it lands. At least we know where it landed. The 1-0 pitch, a one-hopper for a ball 2. And the 2-0 line shot past the glove of the first baseman, Will Wentz. And Jackson will get a base runner in hit number 3 on the afternoon for Altamirano, who is now 3 for 3.
Bradley Lundquist.
And now bring up Bradley Lundquist, the number 5 hitter. Josh White on the mound to talk to Alec and Trey Long. And it was in 2015. It was Jackson. It was almost like a walk-off home run. Jackson beating Lake Stevens by a score of 10-0 in 5 innings. And it was capped off by the 2-run home run by Carter Booth. It was senior night for Jackson. And Jacob Bogas threw a 5-inning perfect game. In 2016, it was around this same score. 2016, Jackson beat Lake Stevens by the score of 10-1. And now they're leading Lake Stevens by the score of 12-3. But ironically enough, they have not scored more than 10 runs at Lake Stevens High School in the other field. First pitch, check swing. The closest to being not called a strike, ball 1. As not only was his bat moving a little bit, his entire top part of his body was moving. Alec the 1-0. Chopper, this one fielded by Theron, tosses it to Brandon at second, tosses it to Will at first. Does he get him? Yes, he did. It's around the horn, a 5-4-3 double play.
Now batting the left field,
And it will end
9, Chris Grayson.
the opportunity for Jackson to get some more runs on the board, getting Altamirano out at second. And Lundquist out at first brings up Chris Grayson, who was 1 for 3 with an RBI single. And the first pitch, the windup from Alec. Strike 1 looking. And the 0-1 pitch, check swing, strike 2 looking. And in that inning, Alec Ibachawani threw only 3 pitches, 1 ball and 2 strikes in that inning. 2 runs and 2 hits, no errors, and nobody left on. Entering this inning was a total of 11 runs on 10 hits, 2 errors, and 3 runners left on. The 0-2 check swing outside for a ball 1. And the 1-2 by Alec, foul. Chopper heading towards the Jackson dugout. Count stays at 1 ball and 2 strikes. Chris Grayson, he had 2 RBIs. My mistake. I said he had 1 RBI. Chris Grayson with an RBI ground out to the second baseman Brendan Miller in the first, struck out, and then hit an RBI single. And the 1-2 pitch, as Chris is reaching for that one, it'll be another foul, 1-2. It struck out on a 2-2 count. And the only batter that Tate Bruss faced in the second inning. Hit an RBI single in the fourth that scored Ben Steck. And that was off of Xander Fogel. And this one, reaching for that one, that goes into the glove of Ibachuan, who throws the first and is in time, and that will end the 6th inning. 1 run, 2 hits, no errors, nobody left on. Ben Steck goes yard. That is the highlight of the 6th. And the score is Jackson 12, Lake Stevens 3. And it'll be number 47, Evan Canfield in the 7th. Lake Stevens, they need to score 9 runs to tie it, 10 to take the lead. They're facing off Canfield against the middle of the order. They'll face off against Will Wentz and Christian LaPierre for the first time, and Tanner Lind for the second time around. He struck him out as he was the first batter that Canfield faced. As we now go into the top of the 7th inning, Jackson 12, Lake Stevens 3. And we are now back into the top of the 7th inning. Lake Stevens, they are down by 9. They need 9 to tie it, 10 to take the lead against the Jackson Timberwolves on senior day here at Jackson High School. It is Evan Canfield against Will Wentz. First pitch, ball 1. Will, he is 0 for 2. He got hit in the 5th off of Case Matter and was stranded at third base. And the 1-0, low for a ball 2. And so as Mason Coe, his final at bat is a Jackson Timberwolf. He gets a single and then scores on a home run by another senior, Carter Booth. 2-0. Fly ball as foul. 2 balls and 1 strike. And the count will stay at 2 balls and 1 strike. Again, both of these teams will be facing off tomorrow at Lake Stevens High School. The 2-1. Hard hit ball going to left field. Chris Grayson going back. His left center field is the left fielder, Chris Grayson, who will move to make the catch along with the center fielder, Carter Booth.
Next batter for the Vikings is the center
For the first out of the 7th inning, bringing up Christian LaPierre. He was 4 for 5 on Friday. He is 2 for 2 today. As entering today, his batting average went up from 231 to 295. This one, a ground ball, that goes in the right field. It'll be a 1-out single for Christian LaPierre. I can guarantee you his batting average is going to go up to 300 at this point. He has been on a tear in these last couple of games. Entering Friday's game against Glacier Peak, his batting average was 229. Entering today's game, his batting average has went up to 295. His batting average is going to go up by a lot entering tomorrow's game. Here's Tanner Lind, who is 1 for 2 with an RBI single, and he struck out swinging in the 5th. First pitch by Canfield. Chopper, this one getting into the glove of Beckman. Throws to second. It gets into the glove of the shortstop, Kyle Sears. His foot was off the bag, but gets it back on the bag in time before LaPierre would get to it. So it'll be a fielder's choice, 3-6 on the first pitch. And Lake Stevens down to their final out, and Hunter Zalesko is their last hope. He is 0 for 1, been hit twice, hit a fielder's choice and got a stolen base, yet he just can't get away from second base. First pitch is low for a ball 1. He was stranded at second base in all 3 plate appearances. In the 2nd inning, 3rd inning, and in the 5th inning when he faced off against Evan Canfield. And the 1-0. Hard hit ball that laced right near the line left field. Grayson diving for it, running towards foul territory, and will make the catch. And the Jackson Timberwolves on Senior Day will win this game with a statement added to that one. Final score, Jackson 12, Lake Stevens 3. Jackson, their record now up to 13 wins and 5 losses, and now have more conference wins than they had last year. They are 10-3 in conference play. Lake Stevens down to 7 wins and 11 losses, and their conference record now down to under 500 at 6 wins and 7 losses. These two teams will play against each other on Tuesday, May 1st, 2018. The expected matchup will be Tyler Elsmore, who is a 3-year varsity starter for Jackson, against Will Wentz. Again, the final score, the Lake Stevens Vikings 3, Jackson 12. The winning pitcher is Case Matter, getting his 2nd win in his 2nd start against the Vikings. The losing pitcher is Justin Troya, whose record is now under 300 at 2 wins and 3 losses. My name is Payne Patchett. You've been listening to Lake Stevens Vikings Varsity Baseball, and we'll see you tomorrow on the first day of May 1st, 2018, in the final conference game for both teams and the final regular season game for the Jackson Timberwolves as of today, because we don't know if that Ingram game is going to be played anytime soon. And we'll see you on Tuesday, May 1st, 2018 at Lake Stevens High School.